You used to make friends without even trying. You sat next to someone on the first day of school, shared a snack, laughed at something stupid, and that was it. Done. Friend acquired. No strategy, no effort, no awkward silences that lasted 3 working days. And now? Now you can spend an entire evening in a room full of people and drive home feeling completely alone. You can have 400 connections online and not one person to call when something actually goes wrong. Here's the part nobody says out loud. You've probably started to wonder if something is wrong with you. Like everyone else figured out the code and you missed the class. Like making friends is something that comes naturally to other people and you're just not built for it the same way. But what if it's not you? What if the problem is that the conditions that once made friendship effortless have been quietly dismantled and nobody told you that was happening? Today, we're getting into the hidden mechanics of why connection gets harder as you get older and exactly what you can do about it.
Let's call it what it is. Structural loneliness. Not the kind where you're sad and isolated and eating cereal for dinner in the dark, though that's real too. This is the quieter kind. The kind where your life looks full from the outside but feels thin on the inside. Where you have people around you but not really with you. Most people hear that and think the answer is to just put themselves out there more. Go to more events, download another app, be more social. And that advice isn't wrong exactly, it's just wildly incomplete. Because the reason friendship felt automatic when you were young wasn't because you were a better person. It was because the environment did the work for you. School gave you proximity, schedules gave you repetition, childhood gave you time. Adulthood took all 3. Hi, I'm Grit, and I had to learn this the hard way.
I used to think I was just a late bloomer socially. Like, eventually I'd hit some invisible milestone and suddenly have the kind of friendships you see in films. A tight group, inside jokes that go back years, people who just show up. In my early 20s, I was busy, building something, or at least telling myself I was. I had plenty of acquaintances, people I'd grab a coffee with, people I'd exchange messages with, people I'd see at things and feel briefly warm around. But the second anything in my life actually went sideways, crickets. Not because anyone was a bad person, not because they didn't care, but because I'd never built anything deep enough to withstand real weight. I'd confused familiarity with friendship. I'd been around people without ever actually being open to them. The cost of that hit me slowly, not all at once. It wasn't a dramatic moment, it was just this quiet, persistent background feeling that I was moving through my life parallel to other people, rather than connected to them. The shift for me came when I stopped blaming my personality and started asking a different question. Not what's wrong with me, but what conditions does real friendship actually need to grow, and am I creating any of them? That question changed everything.
Here's what's actually happening beneath the surface, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Friendship isn't a feeling, it's a process, and that process has 3 non-negotiable ingredients: proximity, repetition, and vulnerability. Not 1 or 2, all 3. Remove any one of them and the whole thing stalls. Proximity means being physically around the same people with some regularity. Not once, not randomly, consistently. This is why school worked. You didn't choose your classmates. You just saw them every day for months. That alone creates the conditions for connection to start forming. Repetition is the part people most underestimate. Psychologist Jeffrey Hall at the University of Kansas spent years studying how long it actually takes to form meaningful friendship. His research found that moving from stranger to close friend requires somewhere in the range of 200 hours of shared time together. Not 200 hours of deep conversation, just time, shared presence, repeated contact over weeks and months. 50 hours gets you to casual acquaintance, 90 hours gets you to something real, 200 gets you to the kind of friend who shows up at 11 p.m. when your life is falling apart. And vulnerability is the final piece. Not oversharing,
not unloading your entire emotional history on someone you've known for 3 weeks, just the gradual, intentional act of letting someone see a slightly more honest version of you than you normally show the world. It's the door. Proximity and repetition build the hallway. Vulnerability is what opens the door. Here's the reframe that matters. The reason you're struggling with friendship as an adult isn't a character flaw. It's an engineering problem. The structure that once provided all 3 ingredients automatically has been removed, and most people never notice, so they spend years wondering what's wrong with them instead of just rebuilding the structure. You're not broken. You're just working without the scaffolding you used to have.
Okay, so here's where most people go wrong once they understand all of this. They try to engineer it too hard. They join 12 different clubs, say yes to everything, force conversations, perform extroversion like it's a job interview. And it feels exhausting and fake because it is. Real friendship doesn't grow from effort alone. It grows from shared stakes, something that actually matters to both people, a goal you're both chasing, a challenge you're both navigating, something that creates genuine common ground rather than manufactured small talk about what you do for work and whether you've seen any good films lately. The practical version of this is simpler than it sounds. Stop trying to make friends and start doing things that matter to you in the presence of other people who care about those same things. The friendship is the byproduct, not the goal. And then when the connection starts to form, do the one thing most people refuse to do. Go first. Make the invitation. Send the follow-up. Don't wait for it to be someone else's turn, because in a world where everyone is slightly anxious and slightly too busy, nobody moves first and nothing grows.
Most people approach friendship the way they approach networking. Show up to a thing, make a good impression, exchange details, feel briefly optimistic, and then let it quietly fade because nobody follows through. The relationship exists in potential and never quite becomes real. The reason this happens isn't laziness, it's that we've been trained to think of social connection as event-based. You go somewhere and meet people. But real friendship isn't built in events. It's built in the repetition between events, the small check-ins, the random message that says nothing important but says, "I'm still thinking about you," the Tuesday afternoon phone call that has no agenda. Robin Dunbar, the evolutionary anthropologist at Oxford who spent decades studying human social bonds, found that our closest relationships require what he calls grooming time. That's his term for the low-stakes, repeated contact that maintains emotional closeness. His research consistently shows that without regular investment, even strong friendships cool off within a matter of months. So the shift is this. Pick 2 or 3 people you actually want something real with and treat them like a practice, not a project, not a task list, a practice, something you return to regularly even when there's nothing specific to return for. Send the voice note, suggest the walk, show up for the ordinary moments, not just the big ones. The small action you can take today, message one person you've been meaning to get back to, not with an apology for the silence, just with something genuine. A question, a thought that reminded you of them. Keep it simple. Just break the gap. Vulnerability has become a buzzword, and like most buzzwords, the meaning has been stretched until it's almost useless. People hear "be vulnerable" and they either think it means crying in public or they picture someone at a dinner party announcing their childhood trauma before the starters arrive. Neither of those is what we're talking about. Real vulnerability in the context of friendship is quieter than that. It's the moment you admit you're struggling with something instead of saying you're fine. It's disagreeing with someone instead of nodding along. It's saying, "I don't actually know," instead of performing confidence. It's being slightly more honest than feels comfortable. Brené Brown's research at the University of Houston on shame and connection found something that sounds almost backwards. Vulnerability is not the thing that makes people think less of you. It's the thing that makes them feel safe enough to be real with you in return. When you let your guard down a little, you give the other person permission to do the same. That's how real intimacy starts. Not with grand gestures, with small moments of honesty. The failure mode here is what she calls performing vulnerability, sharing things that sound vulnerable but are actually calculated to get a particular reaction.
People can feel the difference. Authentic openness creates closeness. Performed openness creates distance. The small action you can take today: next time someone asks how you are, tell them something true instead of something convenient. Not a lot, just one honest sentence about what's actually going on. See what happens. Stop keeping score. This one is sneaky because it doesn't feel like a problem until it's already done damage. Keeping score looks like this. You notice that you always reach out first. You track who invited who last time. You feel vaguely resentful when someone cancels plans or doesn't reciprocate at the same frequency you do. And underneath it all is the assumption that a healthy friendship should be balanced, measured, equal. The problem is that human relationships don't work like spreadsheets. Research in relational psychology consistently shows that the people who report the strongest, most satisfying friendships are the ones who give more generously and track the accounting less carefully. Not because they're doormats, not because they don't have boundaries, but because they understand that relationships move in waves. Sometimes one person carries more, sometimes life gets in the way. The give and take evens out over time, but only if you're not keeping a running tally. Now, this doesn't mean you should be endlessly giving to people who take and never return. That's not friendship. That's a one-sided arrangement, and it's worth noticing clearly. What we're talking about is releasing the smaller scorekeeping, the turn-taking, the mild resentment when someone takes a few days to reply. The small action you can take today is identify one friendship where you've been quietly keeping score and consciously let it go. Reach out without waiting for it to be your turn. Give without calculating the return. Do it once and notice how it changes the energy between you.
Here's the thing nobody wants to say at the end of a video like this, so I'm going to say it. Building real friendship as an adult is genuinely hard. Not because you're doing it wrong, not because your generation is uniquely broken, but because the world you're living in was not designed with human connection as a priority. It was designed for productivity, for consumption, for speed. And friendship is slow. Friendship is inefficient. Friendship requires exactly the kind of time and attention that everything around you is competing for. That's not a reason to give up. It's a reason to be more deliberate. The people who manage to build real connection as adults aren't the most outgoing or the most likable or the ones with the most free time. They're the ones who decided to treat friendship as something worth protecting, something worth showing up for, even when it's easier not to, something worth going first for, even when the outcome isn't guaranteed. You don't need 50 friends. You need 3 or 4 people who actually know you and who you actually know in return. Start there. Show up consistently. Be honest more often than feels comfortable, and stop waiting for it to happen to you. It won't. But you can make it happen anyway. That's what this whole thing is really about.
Here's your one action from this video. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. Not because the algorithm needs the numbers, because there's probably someone in your life quietly struggling with exactly this, and they haven't said it out loud yet. And tell me in the comments, what's the hardest part of making friends as an adult for you? Be honest. This is the right room for it.